So there's one more tweak to the actual setup of what we're doing here that I'd like to discuss, and that is, we see this and everything's like crumbling apart, which is pretty cool. But sometimes, again, art direction, you'll get notes or you have your own notes for yourself. For me, looking at this, I think it would be cool to preserve, let's say, one of these columns. Like I want this corner in the front to be stronger. I want to just simply change the strength of the glue constraints in some places. I want this to be stronger, and maybe I want part of this roof peak to be stronger. I want to have some of these features, carry through to the end, so it's not just one big mess. So to do that, I'm just going to find where we were even working on those constraints in the first place. I could do it here, or I could even do it after here. I'm going to do it here because it's the concrete specifically that I want to strengthen in those places. This will be pretty straightforward. After all that, this will be refreshingly straightforward. I'm going to make a group called strengthen, and it's not going to be based off of any named primitives, but we're going to do a bounding region instead. So I'm going to make a bounding sphere. If we click on this thing here, the manipulator, we can literally move it around. So as I said, I want to kind of target this. I want to target in the front here, maybe something like that. This corner, you can see that it's selecting them as I'm dragging this around it. So you can arbitrarily do this. This is really just art direction. I'm gonna like round these numbers off here. So this was more like that. So there you go. I've got a group that is capturing these, and we're going to say in a moment that I want to increase the strength of those. But interestingly, I can also do this. If I copy and paste this group here, I can say, instead of replacing existing, union with existing. So now if I move this around, you can see these are still highlighted. And now I can just move this somewhere else, and it's still just the one strengthen group, something like that. No, maybe I'll actually want this pretty big. I just want like a whole corner, a whole like sharp corner up here to be mine. I'll do it even 50% more than this, but something like that. It's arbitrary. So there we go. We've captured a bunch of some regions. You might add in your own regions as well, but I think you get the idea. Primitive Wrangler will just work on that strengthen group and say the strength of those constraints is going to be times equal, which means multiply itself by some number. They're already pretty strong at 10,000. I mean, we might change that later, but I'm just going to say we could make them be invincible by setting it to -1. The strength equals -1. I'm not going to do that. I always want to entertain the possibility that they might get broken, or these maybe parts on the sides might get broken off. So I'm just going to say like something like 100. So there. So now those constraints will be particularly powerful. If we look in our geometry spreadsheet here, and I find let me turn off these groups. I don't want to see these. If I find the strength, now I can see I have some of these are as strong as 1,000,000 because some of these 10,000ers got multiplied by 100. So anyway, that's it. I'm going to turn this back on, which will allow us to perform a simulation, and let's see what that looks like. And there you go. It's still running as usual, but we can see the results. So the corner here, as you can see, is still together. It's going to stay together because we made it way stronger, but there's still pieces breaking off it here and there. Same thing with this corner here. I really like this. You can see the building breaking on it like a wave, almost on a boulder. So who knows why that's so much stronger than everything else? I mean, maybe there's some pipes coming in from the street. There's I don't know, little hot water pipes are there and it makes it stronger. Something like that. but we're just varying up that there's some very strong areas, and we just have so much more character to this collapse now. We can see different shapes at the end. And you can also see, interestingly, that it's not always just the area that we captured exactly. It's also the pieces attached to those pieces that remain much stronger. Because they're not getting assaulted on all sides. Part of them are so strong that they're at least not receiving force from that side. So stuff kind of that radiates out even from those very strong pieces lasts longer as well. And I know we said a few times that we're gonna wedge this stuff. Maybe we're gonna try multiple values for a lot of these things. But there is one thing I have a pretty strong idea I want to change. This initial explosion is very big. It's very, very big and messy. So I want to pop into our sim here and say, when we're breaking those constraints at first, looking back at here, perhaps we should rein in the size a little bit. So I'm gonna pin this for a second, like so, but I want to look at this. So by increasing this low weight, I'm gonna bring up the, took a little minute to kick in. I want to just make it a little bit smaller. I want that wider radius to be a little bit smaller. I'm gonna go to 1.25. So still a pretty decently sized explosion, but certainly much less of the little stuff than that. And if we want, we could even go to 1.5. Curious, maybe 1.5 is just better. Let's try, I'm gonna try to 1.25. Whatever. Obviously, change this to your heart's content. So I'm gonna run one more sim here, look at the result, and then we'll move on, as we always do. Oh, and we gotta unpin this to make sure it goes back to saying 1. Let's reset it. Good luck, and let's see what we get.